What is up, you guys? This is All Day Any Day One on the PS4, and I'm going to be giving you another Assassin's Creed Odyssey video. And with this video, I'm going to be talking about the update 1.12. And I'm just basically going to be talking about the stuff that was in the patch notes and stuff that was not mentioned in the patch notes as well. So hopefully this video helps you guys out, and if it does, make sure you do leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you do have any questions or concerns, let me know down in the comment section as well. So we're going to go ahead and go straight into it. So the first question you're probably wondering is, how did I get this hat? And honestly, it's just all luck, but you can get it from any blacksmith all around Greece. So the blacksmith I ended up going to was the one in the arena, and I honestly didn't even think about the hat at all. I was just looking at what the guy had, and I ended up seeing the straw hat in the as one of the purchasable items. So what it's gonna look like is it's going to look exactly like it does here. And I have it right here, the sun hat. It was a blue, but I didn't care. I just wanted it for the cosmetic. So like I said, you can go to any blacksmith to purchase it, but just like the unicorn Phobos, so right over here, just like the unicorn Phobos, it is based off RNG. You are not going to be given the hat just right off the bat, so you might have to go to multiple different blacksmiths in order to find this hat, but you will eventually find it. You might end up getting it as a drop, you might end up getting it from a blacksmith. I'm pretty sure you can only get it from a blacksmith, but then again, I haven't gotten it from anyone or anything else so far. But yeah, that's how you get this nice looking hat. And then if you want to know what this style is that I'm wearing right now, is I'll just show you actually right now. So I have the light Athenian armor route iron, and then for the waist, I'm gonna make this try to make it quick. I'm using the Master Artemis belt, and then the gloves, I'm using the Odysseus gloves or wraps, I think that's what it's called, the Odysseus bracers, and then I am using the Odysseus boots as well, or greaves. And that's pretty much it. We're gonna go ahead and go straight into the second question, or the second tip, or whatever you want to call it. So the next thing we're gonna go over is the mercenary tiers. So just in case you guys didn't notice, they did add two new tiers, which is going to be tier S1 and tier S2. So those two tiers are going to be right after you hit tier 1. I don't know if you necessarily have to be level 70 or anything higher, but I would assume you do have to be at least over level 50 in order to get to tier 1 or tier S1, because you do need to be at least like level 40 plus to get to tier 1. But anyways, with tier S1, the way I had to do it was, in order to get from tier 1 to tier S1, was I had to go do a contract that allowed me to go kill a bounty that was in tier S1, and then that put me into tier S1 after I killed him. Now it might be different for some people, because some people might not have the contract, but I don't know if it's because of their level or anything, so I'm not exactly sure if you have to be like level 60 or 70 or anything like that. But all I know is what I had to do was I had to do a contract in order to get into tier S1, and then after I completed the contract, I was able to just do the bounty system the regular way, just stacking up bounties and killing them, and then eventually leveling myself up further up into the tier system. So now I ended up getting it to tier S2 for completing the bounties. Now an easy way of getting your bounties to spawn up and attack you and whatnot, or find you, rather than you going around all over Greece looking for them, is just go to anywhere that has leaders. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you on the map. For example, let's say right over here. So there's a leader mainly at a lot of forts. There's going to be a leader, especially if it's a very fortified region. They're going to generally be at a fort, and then there's going to be a lot of enemies on them, or bodyguards, I guess. They're going to be around them. If you just go and kill the leader and then kill their bodyguards and whatnot, you're going to get a high bounty list, or high bounty rank on you, or whatever you want to call it. You're going to have about 3, 4, maybe even 5 bounties on you. So it'll be an easy way for you to get those bounty kills. Now, you do have to be aware that having that many bounties is going to be tricky, especially if you're playing on Nightmare and playing a glass cannon type of build. Is going to be very, very, very tricky. So if you're not running with, if you're not comfortable enough fighting more than 2 or 3 bounties, that's probably not going to be a good idea to do this then. But other than that, I mean, that's all I can really think of how I was able to get to tier S2 quick enough. It was just stacking up my bounties. So the next thing we're going to go over is going to be the ability points that you were given, and 3 new abilities or mastery abilities that are also added. So I know that the ability points was part of the patch notes and whatnot. Everyone was notified that you are given 30 ability points if you hit level 70 before the deadline, which the deadline had already passed. Unfortunately, for those of you that do hit level 70, you are not going to be getting those 30 ability points, but it's not going to be hard to get ability points either, now that they did drop the XP that it used to be, because it used to be like 21.5 million XP, which was a lot of XP, or somewhere like that, 25 million or something. Now it's only at a 1.1 million XP, and the XP bar does increase every time though. So it starts off at around 1.12, or yeah, about 1.12, but now it's at 1.15 for me because I had gone up about 5 mastery levels now. So it will increase every time you level up your mastery level. And with the ability or the mastery level abilities or perks, the 3 new ability perks is going to be the health for tamed beast. This was not added before, but now it's here. And then in the warrior tree, it's going to be damage after parry. This had just now been added as well. Actually, you know what? I think the damage and health while in conquest battles has been added as well. I don't think this was here, now that I'm looking at it again. And then for the assassin, poison weakening effect is also a new mastery perk as well. I'm not sure if damage after perfectly timed dodge was new or not, but I'm not worried about that anyways. But poison weakening effect is really, I would highly recommend getting this at least up to the 3 or the 4th percent. 5th percent is going to obviously take 20 out of 20, and I would highly recommend not going 20 out of 20 on any of your masteries until you have a lot more mastery points. But yeah, these were pretty nice little ads. I think with this would definitely help out a lot if you do want to go and make a pet build, which is something I do plan on making, is a pet build, because we have a weapon that bases around having a pet, and then now we have hunter mastery that bases around having more health for your pet. And then for the warrior tree, damage after parry, I'm not a fan of parrying, but I know there are people who are really good at parrying and they can highly benefit from this as well. And there are people who also really enjoy doing conquest battles, mainly doing only conquest battles. So this could also be very useful for you guys as well. And that is it for the mastery points as well. So we're going to talk about a few nerfs that had just happened as well. So I've been told that the warrior build had been nerfed. I'm not 100% sure, because it still feels like I'm doing the same amount of damage as I was doing previously. But the hunter build was 100% confirmed that it was nerfed, because headshot damages used to do guaranteed crits. And I used to think it didn't, but I guess I was wrong. Obviously I was wrong if they had nerfed that. But the way I would go about doing a hunter build now is I wouldn't focus a lot on putting a lot of points into just hunter damage or headshot damage and hunter damage. I would focus highly on crit chance and crit damage. Not necessarily crit chance the base, but crit chance and crit damage while at full health, because you're going to get a lot more crit chance and a lot more crit damage rather than the base crit chance and crit damage. And this goes for not just the hunter build, but it goes great for warrior builds and assassin builds, because assassin builds, I think it used to have a higher crit chance when you were assassinating enemies, but now I don't really see the crit at all whenever I assassinate enemies with the crit assassin build. But I mean, regardless, assassin builds are not viable. And another thing, before I forget, that they did nerf high. They nerfed this really bad, and I think it was a really bad decision because of how low of a percentage it was, anyways, and how many points it required. But they nerfed the chance to deal 25% of assassin damage on melee hit. So it used to do 100% of your assassin damage on melee hit. Now it only does a quarter of that, and it requires 20 points just to have a 5% chance. So to me, I think that is a really bad nerf. The hunter nerf, I think it's fine. Because the hunter build is very overpowered before, I mean pre 1.12 update, but now all you have to do is just really build up on your crit chance at full health, crit damage on full health, and you'll be hitting millions of damage still. But with this was the only perk that really made assassin builds viable when it comes to being in combat, because now you can't really, I mean, you can still do a high amount of damage with this, but it's just not going to be useful. In my opinion, it's not going to be useful because it's not as much damage as it should have been with a very, very low percentage. So I think it was just a bad call. But with the hunter build, for example, I'm just going to show you, this is not my hunter build, this is my warrior build. But I think a good spot to be at for the crit chance while full health is going to be 50% crit chance while full health, and then at least around 300% crit damage while full health. And if you can get to at least 75% crit chance while full health, that would be even better. 80%, nice, but 50%, it was a solid point. If you after 50%, I would highly recommend just going straight into full crit damage. The more crit damage, the better. And this is if you're going with a hunter build. And then headshot damage, try to pump your headshot damage to at least 200%. At the very least 200%. And then damage on distant targets, 20%, whatever. Charge shot, 20% as well is fine. But I would say 200% headshot damage, 50% crit chance or crit chance while full health, and 200-300% crit damage or crit damage while full health. That right there is going to make you a solid hunter still. You're not going to be doing like 6 million damage, but you'll still be doing over 1 million damage every time. And the last thing I'm going to go over is your settings, or not necessarily settings, but your difficulty. So this was already announced on a few videos, and it was also announced on the update as well. But you're just going to go to gameplay, and then you can change your difficulty settings. So if you decide to play on easy, you can put your level scaling. So you can go on heavy, you can go to default, which just leaves it the way it's supposed to be. If you go to heavy, the content will still stay at your level regardless, but the enemies are still going to be pretty easy. And if you go to medium, they will start falling down by 1 to 2 levels, and then if you go to light, they will fall very, very, very low. So the way I would, I guess, say this is, if you're playing on light, then this is more for players that want to enjoy the story and not have to worry about specific builds that they need to run or whatever. Like, if you don't care for builds, if you don't care about any of that, then I would highly recommend playing on light, just so you can enjoy the story, just so you can enjoy the scenery and whatever else it is that you want to enjoy. Or if you just want to play it a little easier without having to stress about you having certain builds and whatnot. And then medium is still on that edge because they are still 2 levels behind you. That is a pretty big gap, in my opinion, being 2 levels behind, or them being 2 levels behind. This is kind of, I wouldn't say like a normal difficulty, but it's not challenging in a sense. And then you have heavy, which is somewhat challenging. They're going to be they're always going to be at your level. So this is basically what nightmare difficulty is like. If you play on nightmare difficulty, heavy is going to be the automatic scaling that it's going to be at. As you can see, when I put it to nightmare, you cannot change it to anything else because it stays at heavy. And now, something I would wish or hope that they would do eventually in the future is whenever they do add New Game Plus, they do add higher difficulties than Nightmare, because there are players like myself and many others who want to really push our builds to the best, you know, and Nightmare difficulty isn't that hard, I guess, when it comes to min-maxing your builds. So for example, if you get a really strong warrior build that could just cut through enemies really easily, it's awesome. But I also want to be able to, you know, I just want to be able to face enemies that kind of hit harder and have more health. So I mean, I don't necessarily want to fight enemies that are bullet sponges, but I guess who have more tactics in a sense, or there's just more enemies around. So I guess after nightmare difficulty, it could be something like the Odyssey or legendary or something, where enemies are 1 to 2 levels higher than you, and there are builds that can still kill enemies that are 1 to 2 levels higher than you regardless. And I think it's just a good way of testing your builds that way, to see if your builds are really good and whatnot. But yeah, that's pretty much it with this video. I don't really have anything else I want to cover. I don't think I need to cover that hasn't already been said and whatnot. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, go and leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions or concerns as well, let me know down in the comment section. And also, if you do plan on just straight up farming for your ability points, I would highly recommend just, you know, doing the arena. If you really want to level up your ability points, the arena is probably going to be the best place, because you can just get it done in like 2 minutes and get 50,000-60,000 XP. But yeah, that is pretty much it. This is all Day1 on the PS4. Have a good day, good night, and peace.